I was texting with one of my friends yesterday, and he's a coach at the high school level, and he coaches a lot of female athletics. And we were talking about Sarah Fuller and Vanderbilt. And this is one of my good friends. I've known him for 20, 25 years, and he's one of those friends where we can talk about things and disagree and understand each other's opinion and not get mad or animated with each other. You have some of those friends where you talk politics with them, and if you disagree on something, it can kind of get tense or whatever. That's not how we are. We can agree to disagree and everything be fine. He, of course, sees the Sarah Fuller situation at Vanderbilt, playing football with men a whole lot differently than I do. He actually likes it. He has a different view on female athletics because he's with them every day. He sees the work and the struggle and the time they put into it. I look at it from a different viewpoint. And like I told you guys the other day, I don't blame Sarah Fuller for this. I blame Vanderbilt, Derek Mason, and really the media for blowing this thing up and blowing it out of proportion. Now, we talked about Sarah Fuller the other day. And in case you don't know who she is, she's the Vanderbilt kicker who is breaking down barriers by being the first woman to play football in a Power 5 conference. Though considering Vanderbilt, a Power 5 team, is a bit of a stretch. Yeah, they play in the SEC, but let's be real. Vanderbilt has no business being in the SEC, at least when it comes to football. That's like putting a program like Yale in the SEC. Vanderbilt is a medical school. They focus on academics. Unlike a school like Alabama or Auburn, whose primary focus and moneymaker is Alabama or Auburn football. Tennessee, Georgia, you get my point. When we talked about Sarah Fuller the other day, I gave my thoughts on how ridiculous I thought it was that Vanderbilt allowed her to touch the field. But there's been so much hype this week surrounding her because of the woke media that I wanted to touch on this subject again. Even though I usually stay away from college football here on this channel, our primary focus, NFL and NBA, I wanted to make one more video about Sarah Fuller and what's going on at Vanderbilt. I told you guys the other day that it would not shock me if ESPN gave her the Courage Award at this year's ESPYs. Well, the groundwork for that to happen is already being laid. Capital One announced on Wednesday that they were nominating her for the Capital One Orange Bowl FWAA Courage Award. What an honor that is. I mean, I get chill bumps just thinking about it. What prestige that award carries with it. Have you guys ever heard of this award before? I sure as hell haven't. But we're hearing about it now. The woke media cannot get enough of Sarah Fuller and her courage. Let me ask you something. What is so courageous about what she did? Derek Mason, former head coach at Vanderbilt, ran out of kickers because of the ridiculous contact tracing protocols with the COVID. Vanderbilt doesn't have a men's soccer team. So as a last resort, he looked to the women's team, found Sarah Fuller, and asked her if she wanted to come kick for the Commodores. She said yes. What is so courageous about that? I guess me and the media have different definitions of the word courage. Courage to me is the first responders on 9/11 running into the World Trade Center while everyone else was running out. Courage to me are the men and the women in our military who defend our freedom, defend my right to sit here and talk to you guys every day without fear of some government overlord trying to censor me. Sarah Fuller is not courageous for taking advantage of an opportunity. That would be an opportunist, and I don't mean that in a negative connotation, but that would be an opportunist. And just like I said the other day, I am not knocking her for it. I don't blame her for doing this, but let's quit talking like she is overcoming insurmountable odds or that she is standing up to some oppressive system and breaking down barriers. That's not the case. There's a reason, traditionally, that women don't play football with men. I know the wokers out there want us all to believe that men and women are equal, but we're not. That is a myth. And I'm not talking about equality when it comes to rights. I'm talking about equality when it comes to physics. Men and women are not physically equal. You know why women haven't been allowed to play football in the past? Because if they get hit by a grown man who is trying to make a play, they're going to get knocked the hell out. You know who I feel bad for in all of this? The young men in that locker room playing football with Vanderbilt. For a couple of reasons. One, as men, there are certain places that we consider sacred. The golf course, for example. I might take my girl to the driving range with me every now and then, but when me and my friends get together to play a round of golf, we don't bring our women. It's a dude thing. Just like when women get together for a girls' day of shopping, they don't bring their boyfriends or husbands. A football locker room is the same concept. It's a place for these young men to not have to worry about watching what they say, where they can talk freely. They can't do that with Sarah Fuller in the locker room. Now they got to watch what they say, because otherwise they risk saying something that could be offensive or deemed offensive, and you have a whole nother set of issues. Secondly, I heard a report that came out the other day. Something that happened during the game against Missouri last week. Vanderbilt getting the hell beat out of them. 30-0, 41-0. I don't know what the score was. Something like that. Whatever the score was, the game wasn't close. It was over. Sarah Fuller does her little 30-yard squib kick. The kick heard round the world. The kick the media is calling the perfect kick. She comes back over to the sidelines, and she starts playing the role of cheerleader, telling the men on the team that they don't have enough team spirit, that she's the only one on the sideline cheering the offense or the defense on. Can you imagine what the players were thinking? Here we are. We're beat up. We're getting physically dominated every week. We haven't won a game all season. And she comes out for one play, runs directly off the field after she kicks the ball, and wants to lecture us about team spirit? Dudes are not motivated like that. Females are. Dudes aren't. You know what motivates men? A coach hyping them up pregame or yelling at them when they make a mistake. You know how to kill a dude's motivation? Have a woman give him a pep talk mid-game about team spirit. This is really an embarrassment to Vanderbilt football. Their program had little respect to begin with in terms of football, but now Vanderbilt football is just a clown show. Do you think Nick Saban would have allowed Sarah Fuller to kick at Alabama? No. You know why? Because he takes his program seriously. The Associated Press is calling Sarah Fuller's kick historic. Since the wokers out there want to consider men and women equal, then we should start treating it that way. So let me ask you this. If a man kicked a 30-yard squib kick, would that be considered historic? Would that be the perfect kick? You and I both know it wouldn't, because we're held to different standards. If LeBron James decided that he didn't want to play in the NBA anymore, he wanted to play in the WNBA instead, would that be considered historic? No, the media would vilify him. They would call it unfair. He has a competitive advantage. Men shouldn't be allowed to compete with women. Then I see Sarah Fuller on CNN with Anderson Cooper. She had a strong message for young women out there. She said that the path of success is a lot of ups and downs. What success? What success are we talking about here? Again, she literally walked onto the field, kicked the ball 30 yards, and ran off, which essentially left the rest of her teammates in a 10-on-11 situation. And another thing, what the hell was Vanderbilt doing squib kicking to open the second half anyway? In 99% of squib kick situations, the team is doing it to prevent a return. For example, team is leading late in the fourth quarter, maybe 30 seconds, a minute to go. You're going to squib kick to prevent your opponent from breaking out a return for a touchdown. I have never seen a team in all my years of watching football, especially a team that's down 30-0 or whatever the score was, use a squib kick to start the second half. It was a virtue signal by Vanderbilt. It was an excuse to have an historic moment. Maybe a reason for Derek Mason to try to keep his job. Maybe I'm in the minority here, but I don't understand why the media is making such a big deal about Sarah Fuller. They are acting like she found a cure to cancer. And to me, it just sets a bad precedent. To me, it just sets a bad precedent, because what's next? Where do we go next? Remember back in 2002, 2003, Paris Hilton became famous overnight with her sex tape. What happened next? Kim Kardashian did it, then another, until it got to a point where every D-list celebrity was trying to get famous off of homemade sex tapes. And after a while, the novelty kind of wore off. So what comes next? Is Sarah Fuller going to influence other young women to break barriers? Which barrier are they going to break? Maybe she can be the first woman in the NBA. Or maybe she can be the first woman to step foot on an NFL field. Where does it end? I think it's funny that Vanderbilt's game with Georgia this weekend was, I don't know if it was canceled, postponed, whatever it was, they didn't play because of the COVID. The woke media could not wait to see Sarah Fuller in action again. But their own COVID agenda backfired on them. It pushed the game back. All I can say to Sarah Fuller, enjoy your 15 minutes of fame while it lasts. And like I said, I do not blame her. I don't blame her. I blame the media. I blame Vanderbilt. Sarah Fuller, in my eyes, is a young woman. So she took advantage of an opportunity, and that's it. But she needs to enjoy this 15 minutes of fame, because it's not going to last much longer. Soon the woke media will pounce on another agenda-driven, ridiculous story, and she will be yesterday's news. All right, that's all for today. Hit that like and subscribe button. Click the notification bell to receive all notifications from the channel. Leave me a comment in the section below. If you think I'm being too harsh on Sarah Fuller, let me know. I just think this entire charade is being over-dramatized, and it's just ridiculous to me. It's an embarrassment, in my opinion, to college football. I'll be back on Tuesday with what's real and what's fake from the NFL from this past weekend. You can follow me on Twitter at KC_BTL84. Best way to contact me is by email at BTLKC84@gmail.com. I'll see you guys next time.